Hope everybody's doing well. Before I shoot this video, I just got to show this. See if I can get this in the picture here. Oh, can I even get it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Look at that. You can see right there. A little sun cracking through. Totally gorgeous. So, you know, I was at this conference over the weekend. It was a sales conference. And you know, a lot of the things, most of the things there I kind of know and I understand, but I think the biggest thing I got away from it was just how important it is, even if you know stuff, right? Like, I had a guy, for example, earlier this week who said, Andrew, why would I want to work with you? You know, my business does very well, very well. I've seen it all. You know, I've worked at these big accounting firms. I've seen everything, right? And I responded to him and I said, well, what are your sales? What were the sales in the company? And he said 800,000, 700 or 800,000 a year in sales, which for most people, oh my gosh, 700 or 800,000 a year in sales, that's amazing. And I said, dude, you should be thinking about 7 or 8 million a year in sales. I don't understand why you're thinking that you're done and you're just kind of coasting at this point. And I think even for myself, you get stuck in that habit sometimes when you start to do, you know, well. And for most people never do well, right? Most people, they just never even get the damn thing off the ground. They never quit their job. They never get to their first 100,000 in sales. They never get to their first million in sales. So most people never get there. But for those people out there that are high performers, that want to go out there and crush it, that want to do 100,000, want to do a million, want to do multiple million a year in sales, it's like once you get a little bit of success, and we did 7 million in sales last year, and once you get to that level of success, sometimes it can kind of go to your head and you can think, oh my gosh, I'm so good. Can you believe it? How young I am to have done these things. But you kind of let up a little bit. You know, you don't push quite as hard. You don't go quite as fucking animalistic as you maybe used to in the past to actually get you to that point. And so what I liked about it was, you know, I was sitting in a room where there was another guy there who I'm actually meeting with. I'm going to his offices later this week because I met with him a little bit and set up a time to go to his offices and check out his operation. Does 44 million a year in sales. There was another guy there, 350 million a year in sales. And so it's good to be in a room where you don't feel comfortable. You know, we have an awesome group and community here, and sometimes people come in, they'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Everybody's talking about stuff that's so, you know, above my level of understanding. I mean, I'm really nervous. I'm not sure I'm in the right group. Whenever you get into a group and you feel like, you know, the shrimpy one. Now, don't get me wrong. There were tons of people there that were smaller than me, much smaller than me and everything. But there were people that were bigger. And I always try to compare myself, not to the average person, not to the everyday individual, but I try to compare myself to my potential. I try to compare myself to the grades. What am I capable of over the course of my life? And so I think, you know, even for somebody like me, it's good to go to these kinds of events, good to go to these kinds of conferences every once in a while, just to get immersed in remembering what got you to where you are, how you just go, sometimes you just force it through on sheer will. You know, it's like everybody wants like this tactic. Like I can't tell you how many people I talk to like, oh, is this gonna work? Is this 100% gonna work? Hell no, it ain't gonna work. Nothing fucking is going to work, you know, perfectly, gonna go off without a hitch. You gotta be prepared to make a lot of mistakes. You gotta be prepared to mess it up a lot. But if you just take this sort of, I call it, it's almost like this sort of animalistic. That's what I always tell people. I'm like, you got to get animalistic. You got to get just ferocious. You got to get insane. You got to go nuts. And you got to do that. I mean, for generally, you got to hold on to that. If you want to go through just for, you know, 6 to 9 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months to just force your way through. You're going to try so many iterations. You're going to try so many different things. And if I think back to all the big things that happened, you know, when I first quit my job, I did that, you know, and then after 5 or 6 months of quitting my job, I got super lucky. I mean, my company, it's not like my company was super successful or anything, but this other company was just like, dude, we love what you're doing. We think you could totally be successful. We want to buy your company. We want you to work for us. And that was after only 5 or 6 months of quitting my job. They sort of tasted that hunger. They could see that I was going to succeed no matter what. And so I ended up working with them for a few years. Then I went out and started my own company again, and literally that same kind of thing. And that's when I started this business that I'm in now. And, you know, in each of those time periods where you go, you just get insane. You just get crazy. You go totally nuts. You can't take a shower without thinking about it. You can't eat food without thinking about it. You cannot do anything without thinking about it, just keeping it on your mind over and over and over and over and over. And that's more important than whatever you do. You know, whether you have a method to get appointments, whether you pick this business or that business, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because any business, no matter how good, or any marketing method or sales method, no matter how good, if you're sort of walking around like a limp, sort of wet rag, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. You have to get crazy. You have to get insane. You have to get addicted. You have to get addicted. You know, I always had one of those sort of addictive personalities where I would just suck onto something and just go, 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 go. I mean, there's like shows I would listen to earlier on in my life where there would be 2,000 podcasts or 2,500 podcasts on some podcast channel, and I would listen to every single one of those podcasts. And I'm not even kidding. There's like multiple different podcasts where I've listened to thousands of versions of the podcast of ones that went on over the course of years. And I would do like 3 to 5 a day just to catch up to where I wanted to be and to make sure that I consumed all that information. So, and look, that's why if you kind of want it to happen, it's probably not going to happen. If you're kind of dabbling with it, that's why some people say, oh, I have a job, I just want to start a business on the side, make a couple $1,000. It's probably not going to happen for you. It's probably not going to happen for you. Now, if you're telling me you got to make $5,000 to $7,000 a month before you go out and quit your job and work full time, that's doable. Let's do that in 2 months. Let's do that in 3 months. Let's get crazy. I mean, every morning before you get in, you got an hour. Lunch break, you got an hour. After work, you got an hour. Then you got all night to come back the next day and do it. And here's the thing, right? Think about your life like this. I mean, if you had to go nuts, completely nuts for 3 months, just for 3 months, to quit your job, work for yourself, work from home, whatever it is that you want to do, and you could have the rest of your life doing that for yourself, but you only had to give up 3 months. And 3 months where you couldn't do anything else, right? You couldn't go out with friends, you couldn't go to the movies, you couldn't go out to dinner. I mean, you literally just sit and do this thing that you want to do, and that's it. You don't think about anything else. Only 3 months, 90 days. I mean, what is 90 days in the broader spectrum of your life? And so just screw it. Just do it, and even if it fails, do it again. If it fails, do it again, do it again. And eventually it won't fail, because what I've pretty much seen is that the people that succeed, they already sort of knew that they were going to succeed. Like I've had some of these sort of visions about what I was going to achieve in life and what I was going to do from a very young age. And it's not like some sort of, it's out there in the universe or anything. The way that human beings work is that if you just sort of focus on something, you have a clear picture of it in your mind, then you start to build your whole freaking life around that goal. You start to build your whole freaking life around that goal. You think about it all the time. Every decision that you make is oriented towards that goal of who you're coming in to be and who you will be. And you just push for it. So look, if you're thinking about working with somebody, if you're thinking about going to a conference or something like that, if you're thinking about going crazy, getting animalistic and quitting your job, just fucking do it. Just do it. I mean, literally, you have so much more to lose. If I think about every year that I went to college, every year that I took a traditional job and didn't work for an amazing company or didn't work for myself, I lost at least $1 million, at least, every year. And that's like a decade. That's a decade, right? So, I remember when I was 17 years old, I had the opportunity to go and instead of going to college, I could have got paid $35 an hour as sort of a specialty painter. Part of me wishes I would have done that. I think I would have learned the trade, learned the skill, went out and been able to start my own business probably in 18 months, 2 years. But unfortunately, at that point, I was still too scared. I still kind of felt like, oh my gosh, I got to go to college, blah, 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 all this crazy stuff. And so you don't have to take the traditional path. You don't have to wait. You could do it right freaking now, if you want to do it. So look, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video today. Hope you guys have an awesome week. Keep crushing out there, and we'll talk soon.